I'm starving out here, man. I'm hungry. Tell them come get me. I'm down the trench. Yeah.
Brandon Austin, born April 26, 1994. Assault. Let's just get that word out the way right now. As per YouTube guidelines, we'll be replacing it with let's just use Providence's explanation, not upholding responsibility. That word in itself is very serious and becomes grenade powered when you add the SEXUAL word before it. That title is something I don't even want to say, and you never want near your name as a basketball player hoping to one day play at the highest level. It can be a word that tarnishes those hopes completely. Look no further than today's feature, who sued Division I powerhouse Oregon for $7.5 million in damages, including loss of potential future earnings, a chance to play in the NBA, and emotional distress. The lawsuit was ultimately dismissed, appealed, and dismissal upheld by a U.S. appeals court. More details later on that story. What makes his case seem worse is that this wasn't the first time not upholding responsibilities, so to speak, as a student athlete, as he was accused by his first school, Providence, as well for the exact same offenses. It is important to note that no charges were filed against Brandon Austin either time by neither the universities or the females involved. But Austin did receive what I'd like to call a silent sentence. His lawsuit claimed loss of potential future earnings, and in essence is exactly what happened. By all accounts, Brandon Austin was supposed to have made it to the NBA. He was a top 50 prospect in high school, ranked 12th and in some places 10th overall at his position, and number 2 player in Pennsylvania, behind Rondae Hollis Jefferson and just before my most recent feature, Rysheed Jordan. Looking at his game, you immediately notice his potential, as he was 6'7" and could play the point along with potentially 3 other positions. I can't help but relate him to if KD and Jrue Holiday had a basketball baby. He was that blessed and on that kind of course before he lost it all, settled for playing juco, and looks to have no NBA future in sight, as not many teams will touch a guy with those allegations on multiple occasions. But don't be confused, Brandon Austin is and was the truth on the basketball court. This is just another example of how quickly your growth can stunt to the point most of it can be taken away. What happened to the Philadelphia phenom Brandon Austin, who should be a seasoned NBA veteran by now? Let's talk about it. It's your boy JC, Stunted Growth. Let's get it, man. Brandon Austin is a 6'7" point guard from Philadelphia that has unique basketball tools to his game that made and still makes him a unique prospect. He won 3 straight Pennsylvania state championships in high school and was considered a top 50 prospect, which many feel was way underrated. A late bloomer, Austin's potential has always been evident, and when he finally put it all together around his senior year, he was seen as no question a future NBA draft pick. He had the size, could play 1 through 4 potentially, his footwork was clearly well studied, he could shoot the lights out with his unassuming facial expressions and body language that keeps the defense guessing and usually making the wrong one. He chose Providence over UConn, Texas, Baylor, and the University of Florida. Here's the first stunt in Austin's growth that led to him being blackballed by the NBA. Stunt number 1, the first time was enough. Entering Providence in 2013, Austin was supposed to provide a lethal offensive and most importantly defensive backcourt with future NBA lottery pick Chris Dunn. Things were going great until right before his freshman season was set to begin. On November 3rd, he and fellow freshman Rodney Bullock were accused of not upholding responsibility by a female student and suspended November 6th indefinitely from the team simply off allegations. Both players were not charged for the alleged crimes because the judge determined there was insufficient evidence to move forward. The Providence program, obviously needing to save face at this point, suspended both players indefinitely, which really meant the rest of the season, to which Bullock decided to stay with the team and school. But 2 weeks later, Brandon Austin decided to transfer to Oregon, not wanting to waste a year dealing with the allegations. Of course, we'll later see that wasting a year would have been a piece of cake compared to what eventually happened. This was his first offense of this magnitude, and he couldn't have chose a worse one to add to his reputation jacket. Allegations like these you wear on you forever. Even when you meet someone new and they happen to know who you are, there can be this air around you as if you at least weren't 100% consented for an action you performed that's deemed one of the most heinous on earth. Once is enough. What if it happens again? Stunt number 2, a second time is a life sentence. You can't tell me Brandon Austin isn't an NBA player at this point. I understand he's doing what he is now on lesser competition, but if you focus on things like his pace, his footwork, court vision, and mentality as a relentless attacker, he has the entire package. Researching his story, I thought signing to Oregon was a heaven sent for him after what went on at Providence. To me, Oregon is a better program anyway, and a chance to get away from whatever mentality he was around being close to home. They gave him a second chance, and I have to be objective here. What did he do? He unbelievably blew it by committing the exact same offense. Imagine what kind of person you must have been to believe even being near another situation, such as a house party again, was okay. Not to say he's a bad person, but I shake my head seeing a guy with so much talent, opportunity, and so much on the line to value intercourse and not even the pleasure of it being isolated between you and the female as the only male present over your future chances. That's unbelievable to me. Not saying the second female's allegations are true, but to be in that situation says a lot about your maturity and guidance at the time. According to a police report, after a home win against Arizona and while Austin was redshirting due to transfer rules, he, Damian Dotson, and Dominic Artis allegedly met an underage girl at a house party and began to compliment her as they led the girl to a bathroom and took advantage of her without her consent. She claims Austin was the most aggressive as she tried to hold up her shorts to prohibit him from penetrating. She then tried to call a friend and Austin took her phone. He held the door closed as he entered her body from behind while Dotson sat on the toilet and forced her into oral pleasure. She alleges that the attack lasted about 20 seconds before someone busted in. All alleged again. Dominic Artis was not part of the alleged bathroom attack as he waited in the hallway, but joined for an even more despicable allegation later. Again, no charges were filed as the alleged victim's father was the one that called to report the incident as the victim told police she didn't want to ruin their lives. All three players were dismissed from the university and barred from entering the campus for up to 10 years. Damian Dotson went on to be drafted 44th overall in 2017. Artis went overseas after a stint at UTEP, while Brandon Austin, this being his second offense of this caliber, resorted to going to JUCO and the Northwest Florida Raiders. It was pretty much over for him from there as far as making it to the NBA, although Damian Dotson did. Stunt number 3, the result of those allegations. Brandon led his junior college to a national championship after transferring and suing Oregon for damages nearing $8 million, to which he lost. The female in question also sued Oregon for allowing a guy like Austin into their school, knowing he had a prior offense at Providence. She won an $800,000 settlement. After not being drafted to the NBA, he took an opportunity in Canada, then in the G League with Sacramento's affiliate. He was signed for training camp with Sacramento and within 3 days released because of the trouble the team would face if they signed him. He played 1 game for the Reno Bighorns in the 2017-18 season. He then went to play in Saudi Arabia from 2018 to 2020. All in all, Brandon Austin was a true hooper. He had all the talent in the world, and on the court, maximized that talent and became the player those talents suggested, which is NBA caliber, possibly at least a decade in the league. That's how good he is. I could be biased because I love his game. The way he glides on the floor and is always in control is professional to watch. But sometimes you can't escape your reputation, especially being a repeat offender of the alleged offenses. It could be the difference and reason Damian Dotson still got an NBA chance and he didn't. A true stunted growth story that's a reminder talent doesn't always win in society when you repeatedly show you aren't mature enough to possess that talent. He was never charged with a crime, and we should remember that when judging him as a player and most importantly a person. I wish Austin nothing but the best. Like I said, he's still a really good player, and who knows, maybe one day we'll see him on the NBA floor. It's your boy JC Stunted Growth, and I'm out.